And I ain't into like two rappers beefing. Like, don't mix me with it.
Why?
If somebody died, I'm gonna pick a side. For real. If somebody died, I'm gonna pick a side. Other than that, don't mix me with that. I seen the outcomes of that. Like, I ain't with that. Hell.
Hell no. Lil Baby as goofy self is getting exposed right now for jumping ship and switching sides like it's a game. The man went from standing next to Lil Durk, acting like they were family, to suddenly trying to get cozy with NBA YoungBoy again. This whole thing is wild because it is not just rap beef. It is about fake loyalty, power moves, and who these rappers really are when the cameras aren't rolling. See, Baby has been moving funny ever since the streets started saying Durk might not be coming home anytime soon. Now he's out here acting desperate, trying to reconnect with YoungBoy, the same dude his circle was going at just a couple years ago. This ain't no small misunderstanding. This is about how fast loyalty disappears in this industry when money, fame, and fear start mixing together. By the time you hear this whole story, you'll see exactly why people calling out these fake friendships. They smile for the cameras, drop a collab, and the second it gets hot, they ghost each other like nothing ever happened. Now let's rewind, because before all the chaos, there was a time when Lil Baby and NBA YoungBoy were tight. I mean, really tight. These two were feeding off each other's energy, making straight heat in the booth back between 2018 and 2020. Songs like One Shot and Cross Me had the streets talking. Both of them were hungry, raw, and authentic. Every time they linked up, it felt real, not that forced industry vibe we see today. Both came from struggle, from nothing to something, and that pain turned into motivation. That's why their early connection hit so hard. You could feel the hunger, the grind, and the respect in their music. But here's where it all started falling apart. Once the industry politics started stirring up, that brotherhood went straight out the window. When the beef between NBA's crew and OTF started heating up, Baby had to pick a side. And that's when everything started spiraling. Because in this game, one wrong move can make you look like a snake real quick. And instead of staying real, or standing neutral like a solid man, Lil Baby switched up. He chose to ride with Lil Durk and OTF, turning his back on YoungBoy when things got dark. That move right there said everything about how these industry friendships really work. It is all smiles until loyalty gets tested. Let's get into the psychology of this, because what we are seeing ain't just about rap beef. It is about the difference between real loyalty and industry loyalty. See, when rappers are still grinding, their bonds come from struggle. They starve together, dream together, and fight to climb up. That kind of loyalty feels real because they're both down bad, facing the same demons. But once fame hits, everything flips. Suddenly, friendships get replaced by business deals. Respect turns into politics. And the only loyalty that matters is to whoever can keep your name trending.
Yeah, like, and I ain't into like two rappers beefing. Like, I ain't into that. Like, I ain't like, don't mix me with it. Like,
why?
If somebody died, I'm gonna pick a side. For real. If somebody died, I'm gonna pick a side. Other than that, don't mix me with that shit.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I get it.
When Baby and YoungBoy first linked up, it was pure. Two hungry artists trying to escape the same trenches. Both young, both battle-tested, both carrying the same kind of pain. That hunger made them connect in a way money can't buy. But when they finally made it, that brotherhood started to fade. Because now it wasn't about the grind anymore. It was about survival in a cutthroat industry where alliances can make or break your entire career. That's when the mask of fake loyalty shows itself. Baby probably told himself he was making the smart move by aligning with Durk. Maybe he thought OTF had more power. Maybe he figured YoungBoy was too controversial. Or maybe he just felt safer rolling with the camp that looked like they were winning. But no matter the reason, the truth is simple. He left his boy behind when that boy needed loyalty the most. Then came the moment that changed everything. The night King Von lost his life. November 6, 2020, outside a hookah lounge in Atlanta, chaos erupted after a fight between Von and Quando Rondo. Seconds later, shots rang out. Lil Tim, part of Quando's crew, pulled the trigger. Von didn't make it. That one night, shook hip-hop to its core. This wasn't just another street altercation. This was the loss of a future legend, someone with real impact, real presence, and deep ties to Lil Durk and OTF. The energy after that was electric and dangerous. You could feel the division forming. Neutrality instantly died that night. Because when blood gets spilled, the streets demand lines to be drawn. You can't play both sides when one side just buried a brother. In moments like that, loyalty becomes currency. And if you don't show where you stand, the streets will decide for you. And in the middle of that chaos, YoungBoy and his team were instantly painted as the enemy, while Durk became the symbol of pain and vengeance. For Lil Baby, this was the turning point. He could either stand with his day one connection or side with the more powerful movement, and he chose power over principle. YoungBoy's whole camp, including Quando Rondo, was suddenly locked in a life-or-death war with OTF. This wasn't about rap anymore. This was about blood, street politics, and survival. Every move, every word could get someone hurt or worse. And in that environment, everyone had to decide where their loyalty truly stood. That is when Lil Baby showed his true colors, and it wasn't a good look. Instead of standing by his old friend YoungBoy, or at least staying neutral, Baby chose to ride with Lil Durk and OTF. And that move right there changed everything. Because this wasn't just about business or branding, it was straight-up betrayal. In one of his interviews, Baby exposed exactly how he felt. He said, "I don't care about rapper beef, but if somebody died, I'm gonna pick a side." And everybody knew what he meant. He was talking about King Von's death. He was basically saying that once Von got killed, it was no longer about music. He was rocking with Durk no matter what. But here's the wild part. YoungBoy didn't even have anything to do with Von's death directly. He wasn't there that night. He didn't pull the trigger. He wasn't in the fight. Yet Baby still turned his back on him like he was the one responsible. That's not real. That's fake loyalty dressed up to look noble. See, the psychology behind Baby's choice says a lot about his mindset. He didn't move with loyalty. He moved with fear and strategy. He looked around, saw which side had more power in the industry, and chose the one he thought would protect his image. That's not standing on principles. That's chasing influence. That's what happens when friendship becomes another business transaction in hip-hop. Meanwhile, YoungBoy started seeing the shift in real time. One by one, rappers who used to call him bro started falling back. Collaborations stopped, calls went unanswered, labels went quiet. The same people who once praised his grind now acted like he was radioactive. And that realization hit hard. YoungBoy realized the game had turned against him. He wasn't just fighting OTF. He was fighting an entire industry that had chosen a side. And seeing someone like Lil Baby, someone he once saw as solid, flip on him, showed him exactly how cold the business really is. That realization hit YoungBoy like a freight train. You could hear the pain, the frustration, and the loneliness in every bar he dropped afterward. His tone changed. His lyrics got darker, sharper, more emotional. He started rapping about feeling isolated, about fighting the whole industry by himself, about watching fake friends vanish when the pressure hit. That kind of betrayal doesn't just bruise your ego, it eats at your soul. Imagine being one of the biggest artists alive, yet feeling completely alone. Everywhere you turn, someone's either switching sides, whispering behind your back, or pretending you don't exist. That's the type of mental pressure that can make anyone spiral. For someone like YoungBoy, already battling court cases, house arrests, and street enemies, that isolation must have felt like psychological warfare. The blackballing wasn't just a rumor, it was real. He could feel it in how the industry moved. People stopped posting his music. Collaborations disappeared. Mainstream media ignored his wins. It was like everyone silently agreed to treat him like an outsider. And for an artist who built his empire from pain and passion, that kind of rejection hits deep. But here's where YoungBoy flipped the script. Instead of letting that isolation break him, he used it as fuel. He poured all that anger, betrayal, and pain into his music, raw, unfiltered, and full of truth. He started calling out fake loyalty, industry snakes, and friends who switched sides when things got dark. That's exactly why his fan base stayed so loyal. They could feel the authenticity. They knew he wasn't sugarcoating anything. Then came the explosion. "I Hate YoungBoy," one of the most savage diss tracks in recent memory. This wasn't just a diss, it was a war cry. YoungBoy didn't hold back. He aimed that track at everyone. Not just Lil Durk, but the entire industry that had tried to silence him. He even took shots at former allies like Lil Baby, making it clear that he saw right through the fake love. In that record, YoungBoy wasn't looking for peace. He was ready for battle. He called out the hypocrisy, the fake smiles, and the two-faced alliances. It was raw emotion turned into pure fire. Every line sounded like a declaration of independence, like he was saying, "Y'all can blackball me, but you'll never break me." Psychologically, that song was a rebellion. It was YoungBoy taking back control in a world that tried to isolate him. Instead of begging for forgiveness or playing politics, he chose war, publicly and unapologetically. That kind of courage, that willingness to stand alone against an entire system, is what makes him one of the most unpredictable and respected artists of his generation. But underneath all that anger, there was real pain too. You could hear it in his delivery, the sound of someone who's been abandoned by everyone he trusted, betrayed by the same people who used to call him bro. It wasn't just music, it was therapy, revenge, and confession all in one. And while YoungBoy was raging against the entire rap industry, something even darker was brewing on the other side. Because Lil Durk's empire, the one Baby had chosen to align with, was about to start cracking. That's when the whispers began. The alleged revenge, the slow unraveling of Durk's power, and the beginning of his downfall. Fast forward to August 2022, and that's when the streets exploded with whispers of revenge. News broke that Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Pop, had been shot and killed in Los Angeles, and immediately, the rumors started flying. Everyone was pointing fingers at Lil Durk and OTF, saying this wasn't some random hit, this was payback. According to federal investigators, and what's now leaking from court documents, the situation was allegedly deeper than anyone thought. Word is, Durk may have orchestrated a full-on murder-for-hire plot to avenge King Von's death. The plan, they say, was to take out Quando Rondo himself, but instead, Lil Pop ended up being the one caught in the crossfire. That's when the streets went silent, realizing this wasn't just some impulsive act of retaliation. This was an organized hit. Psychologically, this alleged revenge plot shows how deep the trauma ran inside OTF. Losing King Von wasn't just losing a friend or a label mate, it was losing family. And in the streets, when family gets touched, the code demands payback. But this time, that vengeance wasn't just emotional. It was strategic, premeditated, and according to the feds, interstate. That's exactly what caught federal attention. Because once you start coordinating hits that cross state lines, it's no longer a street matter. It becomes a federal crime. The anger, the grief, the pain, all of it allegedly pushed Durk to make choices that could now cost him his entire freedom. If he had stayed focused on his career, his business, his empire, things could have gone differently. But instead, the alleged obsession with get back for Von might be turned into his biggest mistake ever. Now, let's talk about why Durk's situation looks so bad. The feds didn't just come with speculation, they came with receipts. We're talking about wiretaps, financial transfers, travel logs, and statements from alleged co-conspirators who flipped. This ain't no local homicide case where you can beat the charges with a slick lawyer. This is federal conspiracy. According to sources, prosecutors claim Durk used his OTF label as a front, funding travel, weapons, and payouts tied to the alleged hits. They're painting him as the mastermind, not just another rapper caught up in the wrong crowd. Reportedly, they've got his voice on phone recordings, bank wires linking to suspicious transactions, and even insiders ready to testify in exchange for lighter sentences. And that's the kind of evidence that usually buries people for life. Because in the feds, they don't play around. Federal prosecutors win over 90% of their cases. They don't press charges unless they're confident they can seal a conviction. The fact that Durk got indicted on such heavy counts tells you everything. They think they've got him locked in. What makes it even more chilling is that this whole situation might be started from a place of heartbreak, from loyalty, from pain. But it's ending like a tragedy. If the evidence sticks, Lil Durk could lose everything he built, all because of an alleged mission for revenge that went too far. The empire that once looked untouchable now looks one court date away from collapse. The psychology of facing a federal case like this is absolutely crushing. One day you're on top of the world, winning awards, selling out arenas, living like a king. And the next, you're staring down the possibility of spending the rest of your life behind bars. That kind of fall from grace doesn't just hurt your reputation, it shatters your mind. Imagine realizing that your own actions, your own decisions, might have been the very thing that destroyed everything you built. That's a mental prison on its own. And as Durk's reality started to sink in, something even more twisted began happening. The switch up. The moment the news broke that the feds had him cornered, the industry suddenly got real quiet. All that loyalty, all that brotherhood, started disappearing fast. The same rappers who once threw up OTF hand signs, shouted, "Long live Von," and dissed YoungBoy left and right, suddenly started acting brand new. Now that Durk's future looks uncertain, all those same artists are jumping ship. You can literally see it happening online. People who used to throw shade at YoungBoy are now liking his posts, reposting his music, and pretending like the beef never existed. The same ones who were laughing when Durk was winning are now cozying up to the same man they swore they'd never rock with. That's not loyalty. That's survival mode. And standing right in the middle of this circus is none other than Lil Baby, the poster child for this fake loyalty epidemic. When Durk was free, powerful, and at the peak of his influence, Baby was his loudest supporter. He publicly stood on Durk's side, even saying he picked his corner because somebody died. That statement made it clear he wasn't neutral. He had chosen Durk over YoungBoy, period. But fast forward to now, with Durk behind bars and facing life. And suddenly, Baby's fingers are double-tapping YoungBoy's Instagram posts like they've been friends this whole time. Fans noticed immediately. That one little like spoke volumes. It wasn't just social media activity, it was a message. A quiet, careful signal to both YoungBoy and the industry. I'm switching sides again. The psychology behind that move is clear. It's self-preservation at its finest. Baby's not loyal to people, he's loyal to positioning. When Durk was running the charts, it made sense to stand next to him. But now that the empire looks like it's crumbling, he's trying to slide back toward YoungBoy, the same man he once turned on. That's the type of two-faced behavior the industry runs on. And what's wild is how obvious it all looks. If Baby's loyalty to Durk had ever been real, he'd still be standing by him, visiting him, posting free Durk messages, supporting his people. But the silence says it all. No words, no support, just Instagram likes for the opposition. That's not loyalty, that's opportunism. This is the part most fans miss. In the rap industry, friendships are temporary, but image is everything. These rappers read the room before they act. Baby sees the power shift happening, sees the public sympathy turning toward YoungBoy, and realizes it's smarter to patch things up than go down with a sinking ship. It's not about morality, it's about momentum. And that's what makes the situation so tragic for Durk. Because when you're up, everybody's around. But when the tables turn, you see who was really there for you, and who was just there for the clout. Lil Baby's recent actions prove what YoungBoy's been screaming for years. This industry is full of fake loyalty and temporary alliances. The second you stop winning, they stop pretending. And that right there, that calculated loyalty switching, is exactly what's rotten at the core of the rap game today. It's not just Lil Baby either. He's just the most obvious example. Because now that Durk's situation looks grim, the same industry that once shouted OTF for life is suddenly playing both sides. Artists who once blackballed YoungBoy are now sneaking back into his comment section, liking his posts, and sending those quiet little digital peace offerings like nothing ever happened. This isn't coincidence, it's a pattern. You can see the domino effect happening in real time. One by one, rappers who stood proudly next to Durk are now backtracking, pretending they never picked sides. They're reposting YoungBoy's clips, dropping subtle shout-outs, and acting like the last 3 years of tension never existed. That is the fakest form of loyalty there is. Loyalty that only exists when things are going good. It shows something ugly about this industry. Loyalty here is conditional. Friendships are just business arrangements wrapped in fake smiles and catchy captions. The minute that friendship stops being profitable, it gets tossed aside like old merch. These rappers aren't loyal to people. They're loyal to momentum. The moment the energy shifts, so do their allegiances. And the wildest part? They probably think they're being smart by doing it early. They think by switching sides before Durk's situation gets worse, they're protecting their image, staying safe in the industry. But all they are really doing is showing their cards, exposing themselves as people whose loyalty cannot be trusted for a second. Their word don't mean nothing if it folds under pressure. You can bet YoungBoy is watching all of this unfold with a cold stare. He's taking mental notes, tracking who's switching up, who's suddenly making peace, and who was never really with him in the first place. Because that's what betrayal teaches you. It makes you hyper-aware. He's seeing who's real and who's just chasing clout, who stands firm and who bends with the wind. The psychology behind this fake loyalty runs deep, and it's rooted in how the hip-hop industry really operates. It's not just about personality, it's about survival. This business is built on connections, image, and staying aligned with whoever's hot at the moment. Success in this world depends on perception, not principle. When artists are coming up, they build relationships out of hunger, mutual struggle, shared ambition. You help me, I help you. It's teamwork because everyone's still fighting to make it. But once the fame hits, the money grows, and the audience expands, those genuine bonds get replaced by strategy. It's no longer, I got you because you're my brother. It becomes, I got you because it helps my brand. That's where loyalty turns into a transaction. Every move, every post, every friendship is analyzed like a business decision. Who can give me more exposure? Who can get me features? Who's safe to be seen with? That's the mentality, and it's toxic, because when your loyalty is based on benefit, it's never real to begin with. The constant pressure to stay relevant turns even solid people into opportunists. Nobody wants to be left behind, so they attach themselves to whoever seems to be winning, and when that winner falls, they move on without hesitation. That's the sad reality of modern hip-hop. Friendship is temporary, loyalty is rented, and image is everything. It's not personal, it's business. That's the mindset running through the veins of this entire industry. But that mentality is exactly what kills any chance of real loyalty or genuine brotherhood. Hip-hop was built on authenticity, on loyalty, trust, and keeping it 100 no matter what. But the deeper you go into the industry side of it, the more you realize those same values get flipped upside down. Instead of loyalty, you get opportunism. Instead of realness, you get image control. Instead of friendship, you get relationship management. It's wild because hip-hop came from the streets, from struggle, from loyalty that meant something. But in the corporate version of it, loyalty has an expiration date. These rappers preach about keeping it real, but behind closed doors, they are recalculating who's worth standing next to and who might mess up their PR image. It's not about morals anymore. It's about marketing. And now we are seeing that contradiction in full display with Lil Baby and all the others switching sides. The same industry that celebrates day ones and real ones is built on betrayal and business strategy. Every handshake, every collab, every friendship has a hidden clause. Stay loyal until it stops making sense. That's the cold reality that's destroying the culture from the inside out. From YoungBoy's perspective, though, this moment must feel like vindication. He's been warning people for years about the fake loyalty, the shady industry politics, and how everyone eventually switches up when it benefits them. and now the world can finally see he wasn't exaggerating. He was right. While everyone else folded under pressure, YoungBoy stayed solid. He didn't beg for peace or chase clout for acceptance. He didn't bend to the system that blackballed him or try to slide back into the industry's good graces. He stood firm, even when it cost him money, support, and opportunities. He didn't abandon his people when things got messy. He doubled down. That kind of consistency is rare in this generation of rappers who move wherever the fame blows. Now, with Durk's empire shaking and the same artists who once turned on him crawling back, YoungBoy finally holds the cards. He's in a position of power, and power comes with choice. He can choose who deserves forgiveness and who deserves silence. He can rebuild the bridges worth saving and let the fake ones burn to ash. But the psychology of vindication is complicated. On one hand, it feels good to be proven right, to see the world admit that you saw through the lies before anyone else. But on the other hand, it hurts, because it means the people you trusted really were fake. It means the industry you gave your life to never cared about loyalty, only leverage. Deep down, YoungBoy probably wishes he had been wrong about Baby and the rest, because being right only proves how cold this game really is. And that brings us to the heart of it all, the street code versus industry politics. What he has playing out right now is a battle between two worlds that were never meant to mix. The streets are built on respect, loyalty, and standing on your word. The industry, it's built on perception, PR, and who can spin the best narrative. When those two collide, when a street code mentality meets a corporate system, something always breaks. And right now, it's the loyalty that's getting shattered. In the streets, loyalty means everything. It's not just a word, it's a code. You ride for your people through the wins, the losses, the chaos, and the silence. You don't abandon your folks just because they're going through something heavy. And you definitely don't switch sides just because one side starts looking stronger. In the real world, loyalty isn't convenient, it's constant. But in the music industry, it's a whole different game. Loyalty there is conditional. People don't move off morals, they move off metrics. They ride with whoever boosts their career, their streams, their brand deals. And the moment that relationship starts looking risky for their image, they quietly back away like it never existed. Friendships become business strategies, and every "I got you, bro" comes with an expiration date. That's exactly what's playing out with Lil Baby. He's the perfect example of how industry politics can crush street principles. When Durk was at the top, charting, trending, commanding respect, Baby was right there beside him, standing strong, throwing shade at YoungBoy's side, and making his allegiance crystal clear. But the second Durk's power started to fade, Baby's loyalty suddenly became flexible. Now that it benefits him to be cool with YoungBoy, he's switching up again, pretending like none of that tension ever existed. That's not street loyalty. That's pure business calculation. It's chess moves dressed up as friendship. And it's sad because hip-hop, the culture, the movement, was never supposed to be like this. It was born out of realness, built by people who came from nothing, who lived and died by loyalty. But the deeper money and corporate control got into the game, the more those principles got twisted beyond recognition. What used to be about unity and respect turned into contracts and PR strategies. The same realness that made hip-hop powerful is now replaced by fake love, political alliances, and carefully curated social media moments. Everyone's protecting their brand, not their brothers. And the tragedy is, once loyalty becomes a brand instead of a belief, trust dies. And that's the long-term consequence. Trust gets destroyed. When artists start realizing that every friendship might just be a business deal, nobody can really be vulnerable anymore. Nobody wants to be the one getting played while the other person's just protecting their image. It creates paranoia, isolation, and constant suspicion in the culture. Look at YoungBoy. Even if he and Baby manage to make peace publicly, it'll never be the same again. Because once someone shows you that their loyalty is conditional, you can't ever look at them the same way. You start second-guessing every text, every handshake, every collab. That bond is broken. And it doesn't matter how many songs or apologies come after, it's never fully repaired. And the same goes for every other artist switching up right now. They might think they're making smart moves by protecting their careers, but the whole world sees what's happening. Everyone's watching these alliances fall apart, seeing these loyalty shifts play out in real time and taking notes. Now nobody really trusts anybody because everyone knows the truth. In this game, loyalty's for sale. And that's the saddest part of it all. The more fame and money get involved, the less the word real means anything. All of this creates a culture where real relationships can barely exist. Nobody's moving with heart anymore. Everyone's calculating their next move like it is a business deal. Every friendship comes with hidden motives. Every alliance has fine print. Instead of trust, there's tension. Instead of loyalty, there's leverage. Everyone's protecting their brand, their bag, their image, ready to switch sides the moment it becomes more beneficial. And that kind of energy poisons the whole creative process. You can't make authentic art in an environment built on fear and strategy. From a business standpoint, sure. Lil Baby's switch-up might look smart on paper. If Durk's really facing decades behind bars, staying publicly loyal doesn't help Baby's career. Aligning with YoungBoy, who's still active, independent, and charting like crazy, could open doors that Durk can't anymore. But when loyalty becomes a business decision, there's always a price to pay. Because once people realize your relationships are calculated instead of genuine, your image changes forever. That's where Baby's situation starts to backfire. He probably thinks he's playing chess, protecting his future, making strategic moves to stay relevant. But what he is really doing is broadcasting to the entire industry that his loyalty has a price tag. Every like, every peace gesture, every side switch just screams, "I'll do whatever benefits me most." And in a world where reputation is everything, that's dangerous. Because here's the truth. In the long run, no one respects opportunists. Artists want to work with people they can trust, not someone who'll dip the second things get messy. Fans, especially those from the streets, value authenticity and loyalty above everything. Once they sense that your word doesn't mean anything, that you move like a politician instead of a man of principle, the respect fades. Yeah, Baby might gain a few short-term benefits, a few reposts, new connections, maybe even a feature or two, but long-term, he's burning something way more valuable than clout, credibility. And once that's gone, it's almost impossible to get back. The streets don't forget when someone violates the code, and the fans, they talk. The internet never stops reminding people of who flipped first. And that's the irony. The very move Baby thinks will secure his career might actually hurt it. Because when your brand is built on realness, on being street, and the streets stop believing you, your foundation starts crumbling. You can't fake authenticity. People feel when it's gone. The cultural impact of this whole situation goes way beyond just one rapper. It's a reflection of what's gone wrong with modern hip-hop as a whole. The fake loyalty, the performative support, the way people toss out principles the moment they stop being profitable. It is eating the culture alive. Hip-hop was born out of realness. It was about standing on your word, repping your truth, and being loyal to the people who came up with you. But now, it's turned into a marketplace of fake alliances, clout chases, and strategic relationships. What used to be a movement built on brotherhood and survival has turned into a popularity contest built on betrayal and image management. And that's the saddest part. The more the industry grows, the further it drifts from the values that made hip-hop powerful in the first place. Realness used to be the rule. Now it's the exception. That kind of conditional loyalty is straight up killing the soul of hip-hop. The culture that was once built on truth, unity, and brotherhood is now getting replaced by a cold, business-first mentality where loyalty is just a marketing slogan. And the saddest part, the young artists coming up right now are watching it all unfold and learning the wrong lessons. They're seeing that loyalty doesn't pay off. They were seeing that sticking to your principles gets you labeled difficult or uncooperative. They re-seeing that switching sides when it benefits your career is not just accepted, it is rewarded. That's the kind of twisted message that turns future legends into career politicians. Instead of building with each other, these new artists are learning to move like CEOs, calculating every relationship instead of trusting it. But that's not what hip-hop was supposed to be about. This culture was born from struggle, from loyalty forged in pain, from people who had nothing but each other. When you take that away and replace it with opportunism, you strip hip-hop of its heart and replace it with a price tag. The tragedy is crystal clear. Artists like YoungBoy, the ones who actually live by principles, who stay solid no matter the pressure, get treated like outcasts. They get blackballed, criticized, and painted as problems for not playing politics. Meanwhile, artists like Lil Baby, who switch sides whenever the wind changes, get rewarded with radio spins, endorsements, and industry handshakes. That upside-down incentive system is poisoning the entire culture from within. Because what we're seeing right now isn't just rap beef. It is the death of loyalty in hip-hop. It's a slow erosion of integrity, replaced by cold strategy. The story between Lil Baby and NBA YoungBoy is just one example of a much bigger sickness. How fame and success twist friendships into contracts and turn morals into marketing moves. Let's keep it real. Baby and YoungBoy actually had something genuine once. Their bond came from the same struggle, the same grind, the same ambition. They came from the same pain, both climbing out of nothing to become superstars. That kind of connection can't be manufactured, but it can be lost. And that's exactly what happened when Baby decided to let industry politics dictate his loyalty. When things got messy, he didn't stand tall. He folded. He chose image over integrity, business over brotherhood. And now that the tables have turned, now that Durk's facing time, and YoungBoy's back on top, Baby's acting like he can just walk back into that friendship like nothing ever happened. But loyalty doesn't work like a switch you can flip on and off. Once you cross that line, it stays crossed. You can abandon somebody when they'd at their lowest, and then circle back when it's convenient. That's not loyalty, that's manipulation. And no matter how many peace gestures Baby throws out, YoungBoy sees it. He's been watching every move, taking mental notes, remembering who was really there when he was isolated and who vanished when things got hot. Because in the end, real loyalty is unconditional. You can't buy it, fake it, or rebrand it once it's broken. And the moment you trade your loyalty for career safety, you might gain short-term success. But you lose something that money can't replace: respect. YoungBoy's watching it all unfold, quietly, strategically, and he's taking mental notes. Every like, every post, every silence, he's remembering who stayed solid and who folded under pressure. He's learning exactly who he can trust and who he needs to keep at a distance. And that kind of awareness changes a person forever. That knowledge doesn't fade. It follows you into every future friendship, every deal, every handshake. And for YoungBoy, it is clear. This experience is gonna shape how he moves in the industry for years to come. The saddest part is that it never had to go this way. All of this drama, the tension, the switching, the fake peace offerings, could have been avoided if people had just stuck to their principles. If Lil Baby had stayed neutral instead of picking sides, if other artists had refused to join the industry's quiet blackballing campaign against YoungBoy, if folks had just chosen loyalty over politics, none of this mess would exist right now. But instead, what we got is the perfect, textbook example of what's wrong with modern hip-hop: fake loyalty, opportunistic alliances, and a culture that abandons its core values the second money and fame get involved. The very essence of hip-hop, loyalty, authenticity, truth, is being traded for quick clout and career safety. Everyone wants to look real, but nobody wants to be real when it counts. Now the consequences are on full display. The world is seeing what happens when artists put image over integrity. This whole situation with Baby and YoungBoy isn't just another rap headline. It is a reflection of the entire culture. Its downfall. It is showing us what happens when principles stop mattering and when loyalty turns into a business move. Let us call it what it is. Lil Baby, a switch-up ain't tea about friendship or reconciliation. It's about calculation. It's about protecting his own image, making sure he's aligned with whoever the industry favors next. It's not about respect, it's about reputation management. And that S exactly the type of fake loyalty that S killing the authenticity that made hip-hop legendary in the first place. Because in the streets, real always recognizes real, and fake always gets exposed. You can't hide behind PR forever. You can't mask betrayal with emojis and likes. The truth always surfaces, and right now, Baby's behavior is shining a light on exactly what kind of loyalty he truly stands for. And the culture is paying attention. The streets are watching, the fans are watching, and most importantly, YoungBoy is taking notes. Every move Baby makes is another reminder that in this industry, you can't trust smiles or promises. You can only trust consistency. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about two rappers and a broken friendship. It is about the soul of hip-hop itself. It's about how fame and politics can twist loyalty into manipulation, how the business side has drained the heart out of a culture built on brotherhood. The streets have a simple rule. When you choose politics over principles, you might win the game, but you lose your name. And right now, the streets have spoken. Lil Baby's reputation is on the line. YoungBoy's legacy stands taller than ever. And the entire culture just got a reminder, real will always outlast fake. No cap.